All right. Hi, guys. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. I have been busy. Have another busy day coming up, but watched an episode of Dr. Quinn this morning, season 2, episode 22, The Abduction, part 1. This is a two-parter. It starts out with Sully and Cloud dancing. They're playing some fun games at the reservation. Seeing who can throw the tomahawk the farthest and make, the middle. And obviously it's Sully. Sully wins. The other Indians didn't think he could do it, and they lost money or whatever on, betting against him. I would never bet against Sully. And then they see that Dr. Mike's riding in with a couple soldiers. And unfortunately, the dog soldiers on the Indian side is currently at the reservation. So Dr. Sully's like, what are you doing here? You were supposed to come tomorrow. And she's like, well, they showed up today with the food. And I was like, we need to take this food right away to the Indians. So, Sully and Cloud Dancing are obviously uneasy because the dog soldiers are at the reservation. And they're in a war. The army, the U.S. Army, and the dog soldiers are at war. So one of the soldiers, the American soldier, the U.S. soldier, saw one of the dog soldiers' horses that had war paint on it and was about to kill it, which is so sad. Like, why are we taking this out on animals, first of all? But that's another whole issue. But one of the dog soldiers killed him before he had the chance to. The other soldier started running away, and then a dog soldier shot and killed him. And they, buried the bodies, took them away. Sully basically told Dr. Mike she needs to forget what she saw there. She needs to, if she's asked about it, say that they left and you stay behind, because they thought, if she told, it was just going to make matters worse between the dog soldiers and the U.S. Army and the Indians. She's obviously distraught about it. She just witnessed 2 men being killed. So they head back into town. And General Custer comes to town and he says, Dr. Quinn, you rode out to the reservation with 2 of my men. Did you know what happened to them? They haven't reported back to post. She's like, no, they left before I did. And I didn't see them after that. And he says that the dog soldiers, the renegades, are on the prowl and for everyone to be careful, watch out, watch their surroundings. And meanwhile, Brian has fallen in love with this cute little horse. Actually, Hank won the horse in a poker game, so it's technically Hank's horse. But the horse seems to love Taffy, loves Brian. It's a smaller horse. And Hank is abusive to animals. He doesn't treat them properly like he should. And, it's Brian's birthday is coming up. He's going to be 10. Oh, my goodness, little Brian. And that night at dinner, people, like Dr. Mike, calling by, or Matthew was asking him what he wanted for his birthday. And he said a horse. And, Dr. Mike's like, I don't know if we can afford another horse right now. And, he explains about the horse and how it's Hank's. And Matthew's like, what do you think? What makes you think that Hank is going to sell the horse? And he's like, he doesn't even like him. He doesn't treat her right. So Matthew goes to Hank to try and see what he can do about buying the horse. Hank will only give Matthew the horse if he wins it in a poker game. We know Matthew's history with poker. He's obviously not stepping back into that. He says, no, I'm not going to do that. Meanwhile, Sully and Dr. Mike are having lunch together, alone, super sweet. But one of the soldiers' wives come over and ask Dr. Mike, did the soldier say anything about where he was going, if she should meet him somewhere? And Dr. Mike said, no, I'm sorry. And one of the soldiers that was having lunch at the other table came and brought the wife and said, hey, why don't you come over here and have lunch with us? You can tell she's distraught. And Dr. Mike just feels so badly for her. She feels bad for lying. She feels bad for what happened to those men. And then a couple more things happened. The Reverend got hurt. He was on the stagecoach. The stageman was killed by the Indian War Party. And now the Reverend is kind of really against the Indians. He told General Custer he doesn't care about them and he hopes they rot in hell. And that's a lot for a pastor to say about somebody. Another person in the area got seriously injured. Just Cloud Dancing's son is now wanting to be a dog soldier, so he's joining them. Eventually Custer captures one of the dog soldiers, not all of them, but just one, who happened to have Dr. Mike's stethoscope. So when those two men were shot, they also kind of raided through Dr. Mike's stuff on her horse, so her medicine bag, and took some stuff out of it, including the stethoscope. So now she's kind of busted, You can't really lie at this point, even if you wanted to, because there's evidence. He's like, how did he get your stethoscope if they left after you? And she finally admits that she saw the dog soldiers kill those two soldiers. General Custer asked, do you know where their bodies are, like to claim their remains? And she said, no, I'm sorry, I don't, which she really doesn't. Things just escalate from there. One night they have a meeting at the church. We don't actually see the meeting of the townspeople, but obviously there's a lot going on that they need to discuss, protecting themselves. As Dr. Mike was coming out of the clinic, Sully ran up behind her and probably scared her half to death. And he said, where's everyone? She said, they're at the church, there's a town meeting. And he says, we gotta warn them that dog soldiers are coming. But it's too late at that point. They're riding into town. They're setting places on fire, including the saloon, the clinic. It's just a mess. And the townsfolk hear this and they come running out of the church and, trying to put the fires out, basically. Meanwhile, Hank's horse escapes from the corral because she don't like Hank. And Brian convinces Matthew to go find her, and Matthew's like, well, even if we do find her, she's still Hank's horse. Being a horse thief was a very bad thing to be back in those days. So they go riding out to find the horse. They do find her. Unfortunately, she did injure her leg when she was busting out of the corral. So they hide her for a little bit. Then Colleen follows them, and she sees that they have Hank's horse. She looks at the leg and she said, that's infected, he could die. So they took the horse to Robert E. And Robert E. nursed the leg up, but he said there's no guarantees that the horse would make it. And then Matthew had to go tell Hank that they had found the horse. Hank had visited their property not long after they found the horse and asked, I wanted to see if you found my horse. Lauren said you bought more taffy and that you're buying extra feed and all this. But the horse wasn't on the property. They had left it out in the woods area to go back to it. So Matthew goes into the saloon, tells Hank that they found the horse, and Hank kind of laughs because he kind of knew that they found the horse, and he's like, well, what can I do? Like, I want to pay you for this horse. Brian loves this horse. And he's like, oh, only if you play a game of poker can you win that horse. And he's like, well, I think it would mean more to Brian if he worked for that horse. So how about he does some odd jobs for you here and there? And then once he's worked enough hours, then he gets the horse. So they make that deal. And then Dr. Mike wants to go out and check on one of her patients. Sully's like, no, now's not the time. I'll go do it for you. It's dangerous out there with the dog soldiers on the loose, on the run. She's like, but, she might need medical help. And so she's going. She's made up her mind. Once Dr. Mick makes up her mind, you're not changing it for the most part. 99.9% you're not changing it. So Sully gives in and he just goes with her. Not long after, someone brings that lady in that Dr. Mike was going to go check on, and Colleen was like, that's who they were riding out to see. And Matthew started to get worried. He's like, I'll turn right out there and find them and tell them. So they get to that lady's property, Sully and Dr. Mike. They find she's not there, but they also hear the dog soldiers are coming, so they run into the house. Dr. Mike's like, just leave me, you can outrun them. And he's like, I'm not leaving you. And the dog soldiers push down the door, and Sully kind of pushes Dr. Mike to the side to get her out of the way. And he starts fighting with them. But while he's fighting with them, that one Indian, One Eye, I think is his name, 2 other dog soldiers are coming in and they take Dr. Mike away. And it's so sad. By the time, Sully gets up and going, they've already run off with Dr. Mike. And she's gone. The dog soldiers have her now at this point, which is why this is called the abduction. And you see Sully at the end. He has his tomahawk in the end. He says, I'll find you, Michaela. Just heartwarming. He never calls her Michaela. So for him to call her that, it's just pretty, he loves her. They love each other at the end of the day. No matter what's happened between them, they love each other. So we'll see what happens next in part 2. I hope to have time to watch it and to tell you about it today. But just get ready because it's a wild ride for this abduction. Have a great day, guys. Bye.